But when he's walking, he kind of fails at that too. I don't believe him to be walking as a human. Hi, and welcome to a new edition of Movie Time. And today we got a doozy one. We have been watching the movie called Birdemic, Shock and Terror. This one was released 2010, and it's James Nguyen who has written and directed the movie. He probably did some other things too, but he didn't really mention it in the credits because he made up some of the names.
Yeah, because he wanted the movie to look more professional, apparently.
And that's a good way to solve problems, I think. Just made up stuff.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, it sounds professional till people find out, so...
Well, I believed it. I didn't think anyone was stupid enough to put fake names.
I also believed it, because I never thought about it to be a problem.
No, but you actually mentioned, it was a lot of people working on this.
Yeah, I did. So, I got the illusion of it, the movie to be bigger than it was, perhaps.
I mean...
And it was him and his mother doing all the stuff.
It was more like we couldn't believe that there were that many people working on it.
Yeah, I would be more impressed if I knew that he would have done it alone. So.
It actually made it more sad.
Yeah, it makes more sense because since there are less of people, then because we were talking about how can they ever possibly look at this movie afterwards and say this is a good movie.
Yeah.
And since there are lesser people, I guess people keeps patting their backs and say, "Oh well, we did our best." So,
or like, we're not doing this again, so this is good enough.
We release this and then we just hide. Maybe his real name isn't James.
Who knows?
Okay, doesn't matter. Sidetrack. We have a lot to talk about, and we have nothing to talk about because the movie kind of develops to nothing, and that's pretty much sums the movie up because it's always about moving from site A to site B, and the movie is mostly about how he does that.
And it's also interesting because the first half of the movie and the second half of the movie are completely different. All of a sudden, just take a sudden turn, becomes a completely different movie.
Yeah.
It was no build-up whatsoever.
It really came out of nowhere.
They tried to hint at things, but they weren't really that big of hints.
They weren't very big hints, no. The only hints were that, you should support environmental friendly stuff.
They did some coverage on the news about polar bears dying and such, kind of making the climate change and global warming thing.
That's still a big freaking leap to what actually happened.
Yeah, I know, it doesn't have anything to do.
And then it was the thing with solar panels. They also talked about very small hints.
Yeah. But we can keep on talking about that later. I think we need to cover the characters first. The characters are... We have these two persons called Rod and his girlfriend Natalie. They are not a couple when the movie begins, but they meet up very early in the movie.
Yeah, and he stalks her for a few minutes and then they're together, I guess.
And it seems they get together really quick, like just one day.
Yeah, that's the strange part because the middle movie, as you said, the movie is kind of divided up to two movies. It's two completely different movies in the same movie. And the first part of the movie, which is perhaps like 50% of the movie, it's them meeting and talking and hanging around. But they get to be girlfriend and boyfriend like really quick, like in scene 2 or something. So that they didn't need to rush that. Actually, they could just like make that involved like in a natural pace if they wanted to. What do you think about them as characters? How do you think the chemistry is?
Bad.
Actually, I get the vibe whenever they are together, the vibe of a bad date. Very unnatural.
It really feels like they don't like each other.
It's very tense.
But she's a bad actress, but she seems good because he is terrible. He's easily the worst actor in the movie.
I can say that for sure. That after watching Force Almighty 4, as we did before, I thought that was the worst performance ever done in a movie, but this guy tops that.
He does. I can also say I think that this is the worst acting I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
It's awkward, it's stiff, and when he delivers his lines, it's like he's reading it from a book or something, and reading it out loud for someone else.
Yeah. And the editing doesn't make it better either.
No. And the worst part is, I don't know how I can fail at this, but when he's walking, he kind of fails at that too. I don't believe him to be walking as a human.
But that's the thing. He looks so stiff and awkward.
Yeah.
He's like, he's walking in a way that makes him that he's like being watched. It's like we're watching him, and he knows that we're watching him. And then he kind of walks stiff because, oh my god, am I secure here or whatever? And again, he's look very stiff.
Yeah, he's like the Sims 1 character or something.
Yeah, I was thinking about the Grand Theft Auto. Now, when the characters walk around there, I got that feeling.
Actually, it's pretty much like that. Like Grand Theft Auto 3, the old one.
Yeah,
It's pretty much
not
like
the new ones.
Not the new ones.
No. So that's okay. So Natalie, she's better.
She's better.
But she's not good.
No,
No.
but she seems good, like you said, compared to him.
Yeah.
It's like putting an ugly one towards a good-looking one. It kind of gets more obvious.
Yeah.
Maybe a bad analogy, but
But it's true.
yeah. Okay, and after they got together and they had been on several dates, I actually think they go on 3 or 4 dates.
Yeah.
Or just like 2 long dates.
It's
maybe.
a bit unclear.
Who knows?
Yeah, but they're together at least. And Rod has a best friend called Rick, right?
I think it's Rick.
I
Yeah,
think
I'm
it's
not
him.
sure.
Yeah, he has a best friend. The name doesn't really matter because
No.
he is not very long in the movie. The movie kind of forgets about him.
Yeah.
But he is supposed to be the sex guy. It's really hard to believe that they are friends because whenever, once again, it's the acting and it's the script. But when they talk, it's like he says something, and the other guy doesn't react to what he's saying. He's just saying his lines. I'm doing this and I'm doing that.
Yeah, but it's like they're filming them separate instead of them together. Because it feels like he's doing his thing, then the other guy is doing his thing. And they don't really feel like they're in the same place.
Exactly. And that's a problem I think that many actors might experience when they're doing anime movies. That it's hard to react because you're not reacting to what the person is saying, you're just reading lines and you need to act out of that and you need to be a good actor in order to handle that. But they are standing next to each other and talking to each other, but they don't react to each other, which makes it stiff and it makes it awkward. And yeah, we're probably going to say stiff and awkward very much this episode, so get used to it.
Yeah, like how we use the word convenient a lot when we review the Phantom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And cringe with another movie.
It was Mighty 4, I think. Wasn't that the cringe one?
No, Big Ass Spider.
Big Ass Spider.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. We watch too many bad movies.
Yeah.
Hard to keep track. And he, this Rick guy, I hope it's Rick. We call him sex guy, perhaps.
Yeah.
The sex guy has a girlfriend. She's from Thailand.
Yeah, I think.
That's the only thing I remember about her.
But she always wears the same shirt. What does it say again? Imagine Peace.
Oh, yeah.
And
she works at like a place called Imagine Peace, and she has that sweater or that shirt on all the time.
yeah, we think
Even on the
that
date she was on.
Yeah.
it has to be bad product placement. Like really obvious product placement, but bad product placement because who knows about her store? Are we going to the United States now and do you remember Imagine Peace from that movie? Cool.
I don't even know. We don't even know what Imagine Peace is. If
No,
it's,
we
if
don't
it's
know.
a thing or not.
I'm just making assumptions that since she's from Thailand, it's like a masseuse place.
Maybe.
Maybe.
That's just me. And later on in the movie, they get separated. Not the couple, but the main main character couple and the friend couple. They get separated and they don't really spend much time in the movie.
No.
But Rod and Natalie, which is the main characters, they meet up with two other guys called Ramsey and Becky. That's a second couple, and this happens after.
It happens in the second after.
It happens in the second, so we can talk about that later. But they meet up later, and Ramsey and Becky, they're supposed to be more of a hardcore character. He has the guns. And I think he has experience with guns.
I get the feeling like they're supposed to be the experienced, like, campers and experienced climbers and whatever campers.
Yeah, and they have a van.
Yeah,
and that van.
Van life before it was popular.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah. So they eventually go with these guys, and in order to talk more about how they develop as characters, I think we need to wait to the spoiler section, and also we need more time to think about how they develop, because they don't really.
No.
And then we have two characters left. I mean, there's a lot of characters in a way, but not worth mentioning. But
I think we should mention her mom, because she was basically the best actor.
Yeah, we can mention. Okay, we can make a shout out for her that she was the greatest actor in this movie.
And she didn't even have a name in the movie. No. She's just called Natalie's mom.
Okay, but we can talk about why is she better than them. We can,
because she actually acts. I guess
her acting feels more natural.
Yeah, she feels like an actual character instead of the stiff ones that all the other characters are.
She actually has feelings behind the words.
Yeah,
I think that's a good word. She has a feeling for what she is saying, and she kind of, in a way, can relate to what she's saying. She tried to be the character and say the things she meant to be saying, and not just like saying the lines out loud as a dead person.
No. She only has like 2 scenes though.
And one interesting thing about that scene in the kitchen when she's talking to her daughter is that she's delivering her lines and she's doing a pretty good job there. But then you can see how the editing is making it awkward. So there's a really good line. There's a good example to see how someone can be a good actor, but the editing can totally ruin that actor's performance by editing it's too early or too late.
Yeah, but I think it's like they only have one camera. Because in normal movies they would probably have 2 cameras going at the same time, and now they have to switch for every line. It feels like that.
Yeah, but after someone has delivered the lines, there is a fine line between when it's too late and when it's...
There's a short pause of awkwardness that shouldn't be there.
Yeah, but that's not her fault. That's the editing part's fault, and that's my point. That it's not just the characters or the actor's fault in this way. Okay, so we have 2 more characters then. We have decided to name one the Tree Hugger because that was his name in the in the credits. No, but in the credits. That wasn't actually his name. His name was Tom Hill or Tim Hill or something like that.
At least his last name was Hill, I'm sure of.
Yeah. And the kid makes a joke and calls him a tree hugger. Yeah. And then he gets that in the credits.
Yeah.
But he only in the movie like 5 minutes talking about global warming.
1.5 minutes.
Yeah.
I think we might get a little bit to him later.
Yeah. But he's basically talking about global warming, how it's affecting nature and stuff.
Yeah, everyone knows about global warming in this movie.
Yeah, afterwards you do. And then we have the second earthly guy, Dr. Jones. And he is, I think the point with him is kind of explain for the viewers what's going on. They try to make him that character, but they kind of fail.
Yeah.
He's the ornithologist.
And he knows pretty much everything. Very convenient.
About birds. And stuff that doesn't have to do with birds.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Yeah, and we can talk about them more later, because I'm not going to say it affects the story, but it kind of goes hand in hand.
It's in the second half of the story, and that's kind of spoilery territory.
Yeah, but it affects the feeling of the movie, at least.
Yeah.
But it would be spoilers.
Yeah. So we're going to move over to the spoiler section now and talk more about the plot and the story and how it develops and ends most of all. Okay, so in the spoiler section, which we are now, what is the plot actually?
Well,
I almost want to quote what's written in.
you know what? Why don't you do that?
Should I quote it?
Sure.
Okay, so the movie is a horde of mutated birds descend upon the quiet town of Half Moon Bay, California, with the death toll rising. 2 citizens manage to fight back, but will they survive Birdemic? But that isn't the right one, right? Was that the plot?
Yeah.
It was.
It
And the
was.
thing is that before we saw this movie, I read that summary. And when I started to watch the movie, for like half the movie, I was like, is this the right movie?
Yeah.
Because this isn't happening, and there's no hints of it even starting to happen.
I think it started happening around the 50-minute mark.
Yeah, after almost exactly half the movie starts to
Yeah.
happen.
And 2 of us didn't know about the plot before, and we couldn't even nearly guess what was gonna happen.
Okay, but let's talk about why we think the movie is divided into 2 parts. Why is it divided into 2 parts?
I think they want to try to show their everyday life and how they connect
Build
the characters.
It would have been a lot better if we get some kind of hints that maybe they could see like some sights of these mutated birds early, so you know, okay, so there are mutated birds, and then suddenly they come on like a full-scale attack.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because Rod looks at the news and there's something about the polar bears dying out. They could have something there about bird diseases or something.
Yeah, but they had one news report that they said, seagulls and whatever birds are dying somewhere, and they don't know.
Yeah, I think they made some small mentions of it.
Yeah.
And then they tried to instead of making like a big thing, they tried to put in small bits. But the problem is they only put in 3 small bits.
Yeah,
It's really far-fetched go from birds are dying in a disease
to
birds are getting mutated and are attacking and killing people.
Yeah, and starting to blow things up.
Yeah, that's
they are literally suicide bombers.
They are, yeah.
Fly into
They can
stuff and
explode for some reason.
Yeah, but okay, so for me the movie is divided into 2 parts because the first part you follow this guy, he gets in love with this girl. And then you follow his career. You follow how he goes from being a salesman to start selling solar panels. You can see him holding meetings where he tried to sell a new kind of solar panels. They kind of put a lot of effort into for us to see his career and also his relationship with this girl.
And also his driving from place to place.
Yeah, there's a lot of driving. We can talk about that too. But so I think it's like Victor says. They try to build an everyday life. So when the attack starts, we're going to feel bad for the characters because they had a normal life and now that it gets ruined by this mutated birds attacking.
But he doesn't have a normal life because he makes millions and stuff for every deal they do.
He gets super rich.
And also, he's not a very sympathetic character. He's not the kind that you feel sorry for.
Yeah, you got that feeling too. I didn't have any empathy for him.
No, you basically just want to punch him in the face.
It's like he went on autopilot the whole time, so he didn't show much of his human side, so I didn't feel much for him.
And then when the movie transcends from part 1 to part 2, as we call it, it's the worst transition I have seen, I think. Because I know what they're trying to do, because they keep filming different sites.
Yeah, different locations.
Yeah, the sound is muted. They just keep filming different sites in like calm places. The houses are empty. The ocean is peaceful. And then I think it's like in the 8th or 9th shot of this, they just force in these birds attacking buildings and explode with airplane sounds.
Yeah.
They sound like crashing airplanes.
And it makes no sense.
No.
You get thrown into a different movie.
It really
with
is
one
like
scene.
that.
Yeah.
The first ever movie could be said to be like a drama/romance movie. The second half is more like a thriller/horror, like it says.
It's a disaster movie.
Yeah, so
exactly.
it completely changes like in one scene.
And I have a really hard time because when they get notice of this, when they realize that something is happening, the only thing they were at a hotel room, and they just had sex the night before.
Maybe.
Probably.
We're not sure.
He still has his pants on his bed, so...
Oh,
Maybe he was dry humping her.
we don't know.
No. So they were at this hotel room and they heard eagles outside, or what's it called?
Yeah, bird sounds.
I think they said eagles.
Yeah, some sort of eagles.
Eagles or...
Some sort of birds.
Yeah,
It's the eagle sound, or...
That don't matter.
Yeah, doesn't matter. And that's all they hear. And they get all paranoid and chaotic about it. What the hell? They never heard birds before?
No, and they didn't know about the explosions or the attacks or anything.
No, they didn't know anything. I mean, okay, if I were to hear that birds are attacking people, I would, okay, I don't mind going outside today because I don't want to be bit by a bird. But they don't know that. They don't know shit. They're just laying in their bed and hear birds outside and decides, it's a disaster. We need to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
And then when they drive away, they're like, we need to keep an eye for survivors, whatever they said.
Yeah.
And they're like, how did they know it was a bird apocalypse?
Yeah, they don't know anything.
It's just birds attacking a bit.
They haven't seen anything, they haven't heard anything. There hasn't been any news on the TV. They could have done that if they wanted to. Give them some sort of information that make us believe, okay, they know what's happening.
It actually takes pretty long time until they actually find evidence of what is going on.
Yeah.
But I thought it was pretty funny too when they stop there are two parked cars on the side of the road, and they stop because they want to see if there are any survivors in the cars or whatever. And at the same time, they're driving like 200 cars on the road.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that too. That's like a typical problem for movie makers. Like I think that okay, we try to create an apocalypse, but there's like people all around. Should we ignore it? Hope that people don't see it, or what should we do? I don't know. We leave it. Okay, so any specific scenes that you want to talk about, or should we move on to?
Actually, I thought it was interesting when they found Susan under the car.
Oh yeah, one of the kids. Yeah,
and Rod came there and told her to get out. I mean, he was a stranger, a grown man with a gun, and then he seemed to get annoyed when she didn't want to come out and go with him.
Yeah. And I like the coat hanger scene as well.
Oh, yes.
That made me question the movie because
that made you question.
Yeah. By the way, you can explain the scene, and I'm going to tell you why I thought that was.
Well, they met the other couple, Ramses and Becky or whatever.
Yeah, that's the first time they meet up.
Yeah, because that's after they wake up at the hotel, and they are the guests in another room or whatever.
Exactly.
And they found out that they have the van with all the guns and stuff in, and they have nothing to defend themselves with, so they go into the closet and find a few coat hangers, and then they run out to the cars and try to open it and escape the birds.
And okay, so you're seeing 4 people running with coat hangers trying to defend themselves towards birds. I mean, and the reason it makes me question the movie, that if it's being serious or not. You can make a bad movie and you can try to make it serious, but you can't. I mean, how in the world can you think that's a good idea?
Yeah,
they can do anything.
They defend themselves as well with the coat hangers as with guns later on.
Because that looked ridiculous. That's like that you said, Adam. It's a scary movie thing. It's when there's a banana and there's a hand grenade that you pick the banana. You just, but haha, it's funny.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make anything serious. But
because
and the problem here is that they use this coat hanger thing, but the rest of the movie is assumably serious, which makes this scene super stupid. I hated it.
But we should also bring up that tree hugger scene, speaking of not serious.
Oh yeah.
When they are in the forest later, when they are driving away from the bird invasion, and they meet this guy who's living in a literal tree house, and he says he's there to protect the trees. And they talk for a bit, and he's like, "Oh, global warming bad," and stuff like that. And when they're done, and he says, "I think I hear a mountain lion, so I better get back to my house." It's that and the coat hanger thing that made me say that this could have been like a South Park episode, because the dialogue is something so stupid, and those are stupid things like with coat hangers that it could have been a funny parody. But
actually, about the tree hugger guy, he was even more interesting because he was really talking about how the trees are his family and everything.
Yeah, exactly. He feels like a support character.
They're trying to over-exaggerate these characters, I think. The tree hugger guy, he knows about trees and he knows how to defend them. He knows about living there. He knows about nature. He knows everything. And they try to make him this... We need to trust him because he's living in a forest and he loves trees.
And he talks about
trees being his family because we need to trust him. I mean, that's a usual problem in many movies, but they really take it too far here. And because they do it 2 times, once with this tree hugger guy and the second one with Dr. Jones, who we will probably talk about later. But one thing I had problem with the tree hugger and the Jones thing, and mostly about the dialogue entirely in the movie, is that it's not a dialogue. It's mostly a monologue. They're meeting up with some people, and that guy starts to talk to them about something that he's passionate about, and the other guys then just stand and listen. And then when it's over, the scene is over. That's it.
They felt like, you know, in most video games that you can see NPCs, you go and talk to them, they tell you some trivia because of NPCs, and then like your play characters don't respond, just listen and then move on. It's kind of like that.
Actually, now when you're speaking of that, I reacted in the movie to the characters. They rarely ask each other questions. It's usually claims, and then the other character come with a claim to respond. They don't ask each other questions to keep a conversation, usually.
No, and the only time they do ask questions in the beginning is when they're dating. Yeah. And that's super awkward. Jesus. Okay, Okay, I don't remember which if it was the tree hugger first, it was Dr. Jones.
Dr. Jones
first. Dr. Jones was first. Okay, so they meet up Dr. Jones too. And what kind of character is he?
He's a very convenient guy who knows very much about the bird thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ornithologist that's an expert on why it's a birdemic or whatever.
Yeah, they throw him into the movie in a quite weird place on the beach, I think, for him to explain to us, the viewers, what's going on. Vaguely, yeah, because he's talking about global warming too. That's like the common theme in this movie. He's talking about global warming and how it's affecting everything, and in this case, the birds. But they had some sort of bird flu, right?
Yeah, he said Dr. Steve says that they have the bird flu.
Yeah, did he know that, or did he just assume that?
No, he said that he ran tests on the corpses he found there, and they died from bird flu.
And when both he and the tree hugger, when they speak about global warming, like when they start speaking, they have some sort of point, but then they make it into some speech who's just exaggerated and weird, really.
Back to the monologue thing. It's not a dialogue, it's a monologue. It's just him giving information to people and then move on with it.
It would have been very interesting with some new ones, like say that Natalie, for example, if she would have been a huge global warming skeptic, so she would have started to argue with these people, no, global warming isn't real. That could actually be pretty interesting.
Exactly.
But there is no one like that.
Create some conflict because of you have different beliefs or anything. She could be like, it doesn't need to be her, it could be him too.
It could be
stupid.
anyone,
stupid in some way that you to totally deny it with stupid arguments.
At least they could
it's
have
getting
met...
warmer, how can it be a global... I mean...
They could at least have met some guy who was a denier of global warming, and then they could be like, but that other guy said blah blah blah. And
that could also be a good example for a person to develop his character.
Yeah.
To start believing in this or whatever. Be convinced.
But now they just spoon feed you with this propaganda. Global warming is real and it's very bad. We need to save the planet.
Yeah, actually, it is so exaggerated in the movie that it pretty much is propaganda.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's very preachy.
Yeah. One thing I want to talk about too, we have talked about a little bit, but it's the camera work and how they decide to film different scenes. I think it's /editing too. But my problem that I have with the filming or the editing is that they keep the camera on for an object for too long time. Usually when you talk about something as an actor or character, you see the person talking about something and then you can move the camera to that place or whatever he's talking about, and you get like a small glimpse of what it is and then move on back to the character. But here the character can say something and they keep the camera on that same spot that he's talking about for like a minute or so, it gets really awkward. Is it that the cameraman or the editing guy doesn't really have a feeling for what's normal?
I think it's more about the editing guy, because the filming guy is supposed to film. He can't do anything else but film, and then the editor should cut it off where it should be cut off, but they don't.
So the editing guy, which is James Nguyen, right?
I don't know.
Who else would it be? Sounds like he did
He
almost
probably
everything.
did all of
He
it.
made up the name, but it's probably him.
Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't matter who the editing guy is, but why do the editing guy feel like he needs to put so much time on different things? Because we can throw in some more examples. It's also when he moves between spaces. Usually when you want to drive somewhere, you can get in the car, and then the next time when you enter the next scene, he's already there. But here it is, he go into the car, you can see him drive all the way around, park his car, even go for gasoline in between.
That was in the start, when
Yeah.
he drove from home in the morning, he stopped by from gas, then you saw him drive to work.
Exactly, and in comes to his work or whatever place he wanted to go. Why do you want to do that? Is it because you need the movie to be longer? Is it that's all what it's all about?
Actually, I think the editing guy are going for some sort of effect with it, because no one is so bad otherwise, but I don't know what effect he's going for.
No, because I never seen it before in that way. I have seen when they keep the camera too long on an object or something like that, but here is like every inch of him moving around is just
Bad.
It's just bad, and we need to see it.
In a way, it reminds me a bit of the way Tarantino does movies. Like he often shows like everyday things with a lot of details, just calm before the storm that always comes in his movies. The difference is that he is able to do it in a very good way that really makes you feel like
But
it's genuine. Here it just feels out of place and stupid.
But in Tarantino's movies, there always some sort of dramatic effect for it. But in this movie, I don't know. He was just driving his car.
Yeah.
Do you think they had a script?
I don't know what they were doing.
Some sort. Well, they gotta have had a script, because the actors obviously read from a script.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah, but the reason I'm asking is because of the end of the movie.
Yeah, but before we go into that, the thing about the camera work too is they have different sounds when filming different angles. So it's like a very crowded, noisy place when you film one character, and then you cut to the character that sits next to them, and all of a sudden it's more quiet and not as noisy, and then it cuts back to the other person and it's loud and noisy again.
That's a very good point. We need to speak about the sound in the movie.
Yeah.
Because it's very, very various, very up and down, very... I don't
There
even
are
know the
some
words for it.
scenes where the background noise is so loud that you can't hear the characters what they're saying.
Okay.
And like the very first line in the movie, I think it's when the main character walks into the store and the cashier welcomes him, and it's like a loud, annoying, screechy sound. It's nothing natural.
So
about
it basically
any of the sounds.
the problem is basically whenever they need someone to speak, they kind of activates the mic.
Yeah.
And by that they get all the sounds around. Like it could be nature, it can be cars, it can be people talking in the background, and also of course the characters talking. But they haven't removed that during the editing. They kept it. I think they want to remove it if they could, so I don't know, but that's basically the problem. So that results in the director recognizing this, and it kind of removes them from speaking at all. So there's several dates that they have where we can't hear them speak.
But you see their mouths.
But you see their mouth moves, and that's, I think, is a choice from the director, because he knows that it's too much going on in the background, so we won't be able to hear them anyways. And I mean, this movie was released in 2010. I mean, there's gotta be some sort of tools to help him with that, or mics.
Actually, I get the feeling with the sound that when you use a push-to-talk button with a crappy computer microphone.
Exactly.
Looking at the quality of the movie, I would never have guessed it was released in 2010.
No.
I think the music is decent, but I think it's mostly like taken from a music website of some kind.
I think he did a good job sometimes, but I think it's basically luck, because he throws in different kind of sounds, background sounds. It could be, as you said, the feeling of kids playing in a playground, to be someone at work or someone getting news, or
very misplaced music often.
There's one time he makes it good. It's when that fat guy, that Texas fat guy,
gets his throat
gets the
that was really good.
Yeah, then he throws in that typical didn't sound,
Yeah, and it was kind of okay in the beginning when he was driving around. It was kind of decent music.
Yeah. So I think for me, I don't think it's a good feeling for it, but it could have been worse.
But the worst sound in the movie is definitely the birds.
I can still hear it in my head.
It's so loud.
Loud and screechy, and makes your ears hurt.
And it's the same bird sound on repeat over and over.
And even when the birds are like 20 meters away, the damn bird sound is still as loud as when they are close.
Yeah, and it's like 3-4 times louder than everything else.
Yeah.
So if someone tries to speak during those sounds, you can basically not hear it.
No, you can't hear anything. So, speaking of the birds, I'm going to say it's special effects, but I don't know really what to call it. But what do you think about the special effects?
What I want to say about the birds firstly is that they apparently have 6 bird animations that they put in as they see fit, like clip art, pretty much. They have 6 animations that they reuse all the time.
Yeah, awkward to look at.
I mean, this guy that edits the movie, I want to meet him. Okay, but let's move into the end of the movie, because it's really interesting. Because how does the movie end?
I'm not sure the ending was an ending. Actually, I don't get it.
What happened is that they were sitting inside the car, the main characters, the birds outside attacking, and then the birds just decided to stop it and fly off into the distance.
Yeah, and then they walk out, go to the beach, and watch the birds never disappear.
Yeah,
basically.
They get the feeling that this entire thing is over.
Yeah,
but
for some reason.
Why do they get that feeling? I mean, they have been the exact same thing the whole time. The birds attack and then they disappear and then they come back.
When they were in the motel room, they were outside a window and then they were gone.
Yeah.
So they just assumed that when the birds flew away, there everything was back to normal.
This is why I asked before about if they had a script or if they were just winging it. Because he came to a conclusion that I have no clue what to do with this.
Yeah, maybe just the money ran out.
It could be that, but it doesn't look like an expensive movie.
The thing is that I can't really imagine what would be a satisfying end to this movie.
No, should they stop global warming or what?
They should all have died.
I mean, like, if we take the Bird Box, for example, that movie with it's Sandra Bullock.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem in this movie doesn't stop.
Yeah,
it's continuing on way before the movie ends.
That's a good movie.
But the movie it's ending by her coming to a safe place. Mm-hmm. So you get the feeling that you can get
conclusion.
It's conclusion, yeah. But here it's just like the birds disappear and nothing. They could have just gone somewhere and kind of create the illusion. Okay, we're safe here, or whatever.
They could have just thrown in another preachy guy, and this is why it's over.
Yeah,
one convenient beach guy or something.
Yeah, some surfer dude, one of those feel the vibe man.
Some guy who just stops by the road. By the way,
yeah, exactly.
Here's the reason.
By the way, you look confused about the birds. Let me tell you.
What else? A good day would be if one of the birds came and suddenly started talking, said, "Yep, now you have learned your lesson. You better watch them in the future, or we're coming back."
Screaming at the viewer, get your shit together, stop polluting.
It would actually be a pretty cool thing in the ending if one of the kids got in danger and the birds would save him. It would be really weird.
Okay, so with that said, we don't know why I can't even analyze the ending because it makes no sense.
I don't want to analyze it.
We heard that there's a second movie, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get the answer in that one when we see it.
Don't count on it, I say.
Perhaps.
But who knows?
So let's leave it as a cliffhanger. But we need to rate the movie, of course. So, Victor, do you want to start?
This is really tough to rate, because the quality of the movie, if they were serious, I'm gonna give it a 1 out of 10. But the enjoyment of it was probably 6 of 10, because it was pretty funny to watch. I mean, the bird animations and the cliffhangers you spoke about, much of it feels like a joke. So if the things are a joke, I will actually give it 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Really tough to rate this one.
Well, I said before, but I think that this actually feels like someone's school project. And if it was, then it would actually be acceptable.
But it's not.
No, it's not. And I think that if you have a movie of this bad quality, then you shouldn't make it serious. I know I've said this out of reviews, but these kind of movies would actually have been good if they didn't try to make them serious. They could have tried to make it a full-up parody from the start, like with coat hangers and everything. Problem is that I'm pretty sure he wanted it to be serious, so I did still get some enjoyment out of it just because how bad it is. So I'll give it 2 out of 10.
Yeah, I feel like the thing about the two movies in one thing also, the first movie is, or the first part of the movie is, for me, more enjoyable than the second part, because it's bad and you can laugh at it. It's still enjoyable because it's just weird. And then the second half, when all the clip art birds attack and all the screeching and screaming sounds in your ear makes it a lot less enjoyable for me, I think. And it's no real conclusion. I guess I'll give it a 2.
For me, I need to be fair towards the movie business. So by thinking about what the story is about, the acting, the editing, especially, which is the worst part of this movie. Even though I find it entertaining for it to be bad, I can't really justify it. I mean, it's bad in a way that it's just bad. So, but it's not the worst movie we've seen.
No.
Because of the entertainment value of it being bad. It's still fun in a way, but it's not that good that it like higher my rate. So I'm going to give it a 2 as well out of 10. Yeah, so
Better.
yeah. Okay, with that said, see you the next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.